We'll be recording this session for the sake of everyone who is unable to be here. This will be a shorter book club update. Nicole, what we usually do in the Junkies book club update weekly is I share with you a little bit about my personal life, how things are going, how is writing. Um, I usually get some sort of an accountability from the group because I promise something to the group, and it's nice to have that accountability. So I'm going to share with you some things about that. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you actually. And Destiny, thank you so much for being such a great support over the past few months. You've just really. Nicole, Destiny and I were we just finished a meeting with the Kickstarter cohort, Kickstarter Mastermind. In that group, we have about eight authors. Some of them are best-selling authors who want to master the platform of Kickstarter. Not necessarily because they want or they need the crowdfunding, but because they understand the truth that many people do not understand about Kickstarter. And that truth is that on Kickstarter, you have it's like a gathering place of people with a very specific quality to them. These are people who are naturally contributors. They are naturally interested in supporting other projects. They are naturally pledgers, people that want to pitch in and support projects. They are like super fans in the making. So many authors experience on Amazon things like readers that are like very annoyed by a raise of the price of the book from 2.99 to 3.15. Like the readers or the group of millions of people who are usually on Amazon are very kind of price averse, sensitive. They honestly do not have things such as loyalty so much to an author. They read within a genre. Many of them pay for Kindle Unlimited, a monthly subscription, and they just, gonna gulp down anything in the genre that they like. I am guilty of that as well. And that is the Amazon crowd. Very different is the Kickstarter crowd. Kickstarter, it's a smaller group of people. Most of them are a little bit more tech savvy, and they kind of lean forward when it comes to being asked about their opinions, being participants in the actual creation of projects from ideation to actual completion. When I first heard of like Kickstarter being a thing, I was like, no, no, I don't want to. Because first of all, I was embarrassed. Like, if I'm a successful author, why will I, say support my project? Why will I go online and do that? Wouldn't it show me in a negative light? And also, I honestly didn't understand much of it. Thanks to Destiny and to Bernadette and to Bolanle and to the team of Kickstarter, I've been learning more and more about this culture. It really is a subculture, a tribe of sorts of people who really want to pledge and support. And whereas the Amazon client would pay $10, the Kickstarter client might pay $50. And there's a big difference. Another advantage that there is to Kickstarter is that Amazon will never share with the author the emails of the clients, of the readers. Amazon, you know, you can have an experience in which you have thousands of readers one day, and then through some algorithm change, you have zero readers the next week, and you don't know how to reach those readers through because Amazon has their information. Kickstarter, again, is a smaller group, but whenever someone pledges to support your campaign, you have their email. And today, email is gold, especially when big platforms change and people that were dependent for many years on Facebook, all of a sudden Facebook changes. It's email is an important thing. And I think even more than email, phone numbers are even better. Um, so that's been something that I've been teaching myself with the help of the Kickstarter team and Destiny. And right now, there is some update. Destiny, in a minute, I would love if you could maybe share your screen just about the things that we've submitted, just so that we see maybe the process of it. And we'll be able to share that with Nicole and with people who are watching the recording. Barbara watched the recording last week and commented in the WhatsApp group. So it would be nice to kind of keep people in the know of what we're doing. My vision for Kickstarter is to have multiple projects because we have multiple books to have multiple projects on Kickstarter. Um, I don't I don't necessarily want or aspire to raise big sums of money. What I want to raise is those emails of potential superfans. That's what I really want to grow. Um, in the future, we can do Kickstarter campaign for anything. Where, this is a new edition, new foil, new sprayed edges, new hardcover, paperback, new Audible, new whenever we could do something new. Just it's a reason for a Kickstarter campaign, a reason for being more out there. So that's been something that I've been inspired by. Brandon Sanderson, who has already a huge following, um, was able to take his following and make it even bigger and more engaged through Kickstarter. And Nicole, can you check how much he made on his Kickstarter? Brandon
Yes.
Sanderson.
Okay.
I think it would be interesting for you to learn that as we speak. Brandon Sanderson, how much did he raise on Kickstarter? And what I was impressed with Brandon Sanderson is that he was a very accomplished, actual successful author, and that he was able to put his ego aside and to look at it as a game. And he won that game.
It looks like he raised over 41 million.
That's quite a sum, right?
Yes, it is.
It's quite a sum. I think that when we think about Kickstarter, we don't think about these sums, but I think his 41 million is just a testament to what's possible once you decide to use that platform and once you decide to really understand the game of crowdsourcing, crowdfunding. So I think that for me, it's just very, very inspiring. I'm going to um, allow Destiny to share her screen and
I I have a Host enabled attendee train sailing. You disabled attendee train sailing.
try again.
Now I can train sail. That's lovely. Okay, so falsely a slight problem. We hold. I just saw this literally now.
Mm-hmm. What did they say?
They said that unfortunately we do not permit running multiple projects at the same time, having multiple approved projects, or launching a second project before fulfilling your first one.
Okay,
Having
so
multiple live
we need
projects
to
can
we need
confuse.
to we need to we need to email that to them.
Yes. And that's under Maria's promise. Love in Berlin and Wool Sisters have not gotten a response like that.
Okay, are they both approved though?
From what I can tell, Lord,
Hey, John.
we. Oh, well, that's that. Yeah, from. Oh, okay, so they've all gotten messages.
Okay. So I think maybe we can look at their terms of service and we can put an email together and send it to Isabella to share with Oriana.
I agree with that. To that, this is a bit weird.
Okay. I was really hoping that we can have several pre-launch campaigns at the same time. And if this is the case and if they only allow one, then I think what we might need to do is to have a really good schedule of back-to-back campaigns.
I
Uh,
agree with that.
Thank you, Destiny, for sharing your screen. Thank you, Yukini, for joining us. It's great to have you. Um, so
Thank you.
as I was sharing, I think that there is just a great potential on Kickstarter, and I am eager um, to really build upon that Kickstarter platform. Um, Additionally, this week we were able to authorize and finalize a script for a 1 minute video that explains about the Kickstarter campaign of the middle grade adaptation that we're doing for the Holocaust book under the floorboards. And this exciting middle grade adaptation is really moving along nicely. In a few days, we will have a physical copy of it so that I can show it to you guys. Um, I would like to also speak just for the just in praise of Pam and the team that is doing the middle grade project. It's just great. And also Destiny and the team of Kickstarter collaborated with the middle grade team. It's so nice to see such great collaboration in the company. And I'm just very inspired by that. This week, I've learned even more so the truth that is staggering for me and almost inconceivable for my mind when it comes to AI. So you have to understand that I'm a little bit older than most of you. I was born in 1985, and when I tried to use AI 4 years ago, it was so crude and so basic that I was kind of arrogant, saying, this is not going to, this is not going to compete with my writing skills. And this week has been really important for me because I am learning that I really need to reshape and replan the trajectory of this company and of my career as an author. What happened this week? So what happened was that we gave two different groups outlines of novels. Outline, just basically giving them these are the main characters, these are the main chapters, this is what happens in each of these chapters. And one group was the middle grade group, and the other group was Maria's Promise. And Maria's Promise developed four different actual manuscripts. So each person created their own manuscript using AI Claude. The result, this might, I hope that it would bring tears to my eyes because the result is just unbelievable. I think what I could have done on my own in months of work, months, not weeks, months of works, can be done today in hours. So months to hours. And the result is really not bad. The result is not bad. It requires some curating and some human overseeing and directing and deleting, and sometimes AI is a little bit off. But at one point one of the manuscripts really evoked tears in me because it was so beautifully written. And the topics that we write about, the Holocaust, World War II, people helping one another, it's an emotional topic for me. And to be brought to tears by something that was created by AI, I just didn't see that coming 4 years ago. And I think that it is forcing me to reevaluate my attitude towards AI. I think it is really it's great. It's great. There are many issues, many ethical issues, and many issues when it comes to society. Of course, there are many environmental issues. But putting all that aside, I do think that in the future, we'll be able to write more books and faster. Another thing that I'm trying to learn is that I am now a bottleneck. I've been a bottleneck for this company and for my writing for a long time, and that's something that I'm learning. I'm learning that when I don't approve of a cover, when I don't approve of a blurb, when I don't approve of an outline, when I don't approve, there is some stagnation, and that I need to be a little bit um, better with the speed of approving things and also to trust the wisdom of the team. I got a comment from one member this week saying, "You're micromanaging. You're not trusting us. We're good. We're good to go. Just trust us. Don't be like white knuckle gripping of the wheel so much." And I think it was an important feedback for me to hear. Um, I'm I'm a little bit nervous right now because I'm letting go. But I think that's what great directors do. And that's what great authors also do. I'm talking about James Patterson, who wrote hundreds of books with dozens of co-authors. The ability to trust the co-author is an important ability, and I want to be able to do that more and more. It is my vision that through the work in your book team, I'll be able to train co-authors. I want books not only to have John Keys, but I want to have another name. Much like James Patterson has two names on the covers. I want the project manager, the co-author, to have, to share the cover with me. I think that that would be the fastest way for growth and for telling these stories. These stories are haunting me. I have a list that every year whenever I find an interesting story, whether it's World War II related or not, I would add that to a list. I've been having that list since I've been 20 years old. I'm now turning 40. That list that in the beginning had dozens of book ideas now has over 2,000 book ideas. So I'm like, I will have to learn to trust and I will have to learn to collaborate if I am, going to fulfill even a fraction of all these stories that I want to tell. This forces me to be less anal, more trusting, and to really be willing to let teams do the work. I see myself a little bit, this might sound as if I'm very full of myself and very arrogant, and I'm risking, your perception of me when I share that. But I have studied the life of Walt Disney very much in depth over the years. I've read all of his biographies, traveled to different museums that had artifacts, and I really know a lot about his creativity and about his life. And what I appreciate about him was that he was a director. His actual illustrations were not as good as those of his illustrators. So the animators working under him were in fact better than him. He was just a really good director and a visionary. And what I appreciate about him was his ability to trust and to let his teams lead and to see leadership in different people, people that even came doing cleaning work for the company. He would give them small jobs and slowly raise them to become directors. Um, that is kind of my vision for your book team and for my career for John Kiss Inc. to be able to tell these stories. There are, like I said, over 2,000 stories. Let's say, that a few hundreds of them really merit writing. I've written the outline for dozens of books. The outline already written. Now is the time for me to trust. And I think that with the help of AI and the incredible teams that we have, I think we can do that. Where I think I need to grow is in a few places. First of all, whenever someone criticizes I shrink and I kind of because I want to appease everyone, I shrink and I almost want to forgo using AI. And I will tell you that AI is really an incredible tool. So I want to be stronger in my conviction of using it. I want to be transparent about using it. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. And I think I still have some shame when it comes to using AI. And yeah, and I also there is this sense of perfectionism. This book was actually published under a different name 7 years ago. Um, and I wanted to make it perfect, so I took it back into editing, and for a whole year I edited and edited and edited and edited and kept editing, and interns came and spent months editing and they left and new interns came. I think that I kind of I have a tendency to over edit and to try to over deliver. And it's not good because it stops me from just basically telling these stories. Whether I tell it with this comma or with that period, you just need to tell these stories. Those stories are important to me. There is a story that I'm now developing about a librarian who saved Jews during the Holocaust. A librarian, you know, I love that story. This is a true story. I have another story about a 3-year-old who was smuggled out of the ghetto and was saved by a 15-year-old. And the 15-year-old raised this kid, and the Nazis would often come. So she trained this kid, this girl, to fall on the ground and to hide and to not breathe and to not make a sound at the age of 3 and 4. And thanks to this training by this 15-year-old, this 3-year-old was able to last 3 years in hiding, 3 years among the birch trees and the groves outside the family home of this 15-year-old. And then when the war ended and the little girl was 6 years old, the 15-year-old, now 18, took her um, to the remainder of the Jewish community because she was told to do so by her father. And she gave her to the Jewish community after like 3 days of like both of them crying. And this 18-year-old kind of regretted doing this. And every year, when there was some Jewish memorial ceremony for the Holocaust, she would go and she would say, "Do you know anything about my little Esther? Have you heard of anything of?" She didn't have a photo, she didn't have a family name, and every year she would go. Um, 60 years later, 60 years later, she was now in her 70s, and she went to such a memorial 60 years later, you guys, not having given up, wanting to know what happened to the little girl that she helped save. Did she survive? After the war, there was still a lot of strife. And through this miraculous turn of events, through some translator, she found out there was a woman in Israel who was searching for the person who saved her. And she didn't remember her name. She didn't, she was 6. She didn't remember much, but what she did remember what she did remember was, let me just turn this off. My apologies. So 60 years later, she heard that there was this woman in Israel who was searching for her rescuer, and um, the woman in Israel who was in her 60s had a photograph that was taken. This is a horrible photograph. It's of the Jewish community. A lot of it's not a lot of, it's a few dozen people standing um, by in the forest by an by a mass grave that they were opening. So it shows a lot of bodies, a lot of corpses. And among the people standing witnessing this in this communal photo taken in 1945, there is this photo of this 60-year-old that was just returned to the Jewish community. And this woman in Israel sent this photograph to this translator, asking whether they can find the rescuer. And this 70-year-old woman, who for every year been trying to search and find what happened to the girl, saw that photograph and said, "This is my girl. This is the hat I gave her. This is the hat I sewed for her." Um, and what was uh, what was so unique is that we have a video of the reunion when the Israeli woman came and met the 70 plus year old savior. Immediately when she got off the bus, the savior pointed at her and she said, "That's my little girl." And they hugged and their families met, and just such an incredible story. And uh, a few months later, the Israeli child that was rescued, that now has grandkids of her own, nominated the Savior to win this recognition as righteous among the nations. And it was just a very moving story. And a few months later, the Savior died. And I think that she was kind of waiting to die, just wanting to, have that chapter conclude. So that is it's a marvelous story. And it's been haunting me only for about 4 years. I found out about it 4 years ago when I watched some presentation by some person who mentioned this story, and then I found the YouTube recording and I emoted and cried like I just did. And I have to tell that story. I have to tell that story. Now take that and multiply that to maybe a couple hundred stories, 200 stories. You can see how I would be overwhelmed if I am to fight over the title and the subtitle and the cover and the blurb and the outline and this chapter and that chapter. So I need, like Walt Disney, to learn to let go, to empower people that I believe in, to see their output, but to be mostly hands off if I am to tell these stories. My family story is a story that I do need to eventually get to tell. Uh, my grandfather and grandmother escaped the Nazis from my parents' side, from my father's side, and from my mother's side. So, and from all four sides, I am a Holocaust survivor's third generation. And I think that it's like really important for my healing and also for the healing of the Jewish people and also for the betterment of the state of Israel and the Palestinian people. I think everyone is suffering from this unprocessed trauma. When you have unprocessed trauma, you would be violent, as I've seen is the case. And unfortunately, the Palestinians and the new generations in Israel are paying this. So I am really eager to tell these stories because I believe that these stories can really heal, really heal. So this week I'm learning how to let go and how to enjoy AI and enjoy the teams more and enjoy the feedback from teams. And I'm really looking forward to, um, yeah, I believe that I'm a bottleneck. And I believe that when I expand spiritually, mentally, I will be less of a bottleneck. And also, I'll be able to generate more prosperity for me and for the company. Right now, we are at a state in which we barely pay. Even for people that have been in the company for a long while, they are not being paid well. And that's because we don't have many sources of income. And if we are to base some of our sources of income on John's books, we cannot have one book when John already wrote the outline for dozens of books. So I think that um, I'm letting go and I'm trusting more. I'm beginning to divide the editorial team into smaller teams so that it will not be, 4 members in a group, 3 members, 5 members, but instead works in pairs. That you will have one person and you will work on a project and you will take a project from ideation to completion. There will be a more sense of fulfillment, I believe, for each pair. Um, and if I am learning how to give more green lights, this can happen in 6 months or 8 months. Sometimes interns are willing to stay a little bit more just to see something to completion and to have their name appear in the acknowledgement and to have copies and to be able to give their families. People have been very kind and generous with staying after the internship. So I'm this is kind of restructuring that I'm thinking about. And whenever there is restructuring in any company, there is resistance. So I'm kind of dealing with that a little bit, but I believe that that should be the future. Working in pairs on projects from start to finish without John being this bottleneck that she doesn't give input and we are waiting for days, and when she gives input it's I don't understand what she meant. Did you understand? I didn't understand what so I'm trying to be less of a bottleneck, and I think that um, that could take us to a better place so that hopefully in half a year from now we can have several books out and we can have more sources of income and we can grow the community. This has been a few things that I just wanted to share with you, that things that are on my mind. This Monday in the all hands meeting, I'm going to speak a little bit like this. So you guys have been great for me to rehearse this. Hopefully you guys can ask me a few questions and this will clarify a few things. The all hands meeting is going to be different this Monday. I've asked already Nermina and the team to put their updates, but to understand that John will be the one presenting and speaking. I think I think it's scary for me, and I think it's almost scary to admit the truth about using AI and the truth about having all these books that I want to write, and also understanding that while we are writing books for other people and while we are developing um, your book team as a company that does ghostwriting and publishing, I do think that in the long run there is more money in actually um, doing work like Brandon Sanderson and James Patterson. There are more millions of dollars here. I'll be able to support more people and their families and their communities through this rather than through chasing authors and writing their books for them. Usually it's a one-off book per client. It's, no matter how much they'll be paying for this one book, I do not see how this can be royalty generating and really, true multi-million dollar income to the company. So, and that is also challenging for me to share that because I know that many people join the company because of the variety and wanting to work with several authors and on memoirs and self-help books and kind of pivoting a little bit and changing the attention in the company, mostly from your book team writing CEO type books like, Prompting Happiness, CEO type book, and Thirst, who, he told his recovery story in this memoir turned novel. We can do that, and I'd love to do that. I'd love to do more books like that. But if I want to make the company a multi-million dollar company, I think that I need to pivot my attention and the attention of some, of the company. And it's not easy. It's not easy for me to do, but I am being called to do that for over a year now, maybe a year and a half. So I think I'm also gaining more confidence as a CEO and being willing to be okay with some people choosing to leave and being okay with changes. Changes are never easy, but that is something that I'm struggling with, growing through, and that I hope to have some breakthroughs soon, which is why I'm going to have this important session on Monday. I'd love to hear your questions, Nicole, Destiny, Kinini. Um, let's have this as a conversation. I shared a lot with you, and I'd love to hear where it lands. How does it sound like? What sounds right? What sounds wrong? Please be as frank with me as possible.
Well, I guess I'll go first. Honestly, I really like the idea of having a team of pairs because sometimes I feel like everyone has their own ideas. It's kind of hard to get yours in. Everyone has their own idea of how the story should go. So I do really like that.
Okay, good. Good to
Uh,
hear that. I'll stay for a couple of more minutes with Nicole because I just want to ask you some probing questions following what you just shared. So, um, my fear is that with pairs, sometimes people will come, sometimes your partner might not show up, and it can be really lonely when your partner does not show up. What do you think about that?
I think that a good fit for that would be groups of three, because that's
Mhm.
why I'm actually working in War Sisters right now. And it worked just like that. Avery unfortunately couldn't be in this weekend.
mhm.
And now Mallory and I have gotten a chance to collaborate one on one. So I think that'd be a great idea.
Groups of three. Yeah, groups of three. Uh-huh. Okay, great. Um, what do you think about John being a bottleneck? How do you feel about that? And please be honest with me if possible.
Um, I don't feel like you've been a bottleneck. I haven't been a part of the company for a long time, but I feel like your input has been good and not too much, not too controlling.
Okay. Okay. How are you guys with War Sisters and the the clear beats for the entire book? How are we
We
there?
just finished that today.
Great. Well done. Well done.
Thank
So I
you.
can is it available for me in maybe WSP summary section or
Yes, it's available in the chapter beats outline in the control doc. Pseudorite, we were having problems with it saving, so we transferred it all there.
perfect? Perfect. I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that. The story that you guys are working on is a stunning,
Yes.
unbelievable story. Um, yeah, I cannot wait for me to release that. And remember, Nicole, that in August 22nd, John asked you to not allow her to become a bottleneck. Okay?
Okay.
If in a couple of weeks you sense, ooh, well, we're kind of wasting our time waiting for John, I should tell that to John. Um,
Okay.
I think sometimes because I have so many projects going on at the same time, I kind of drop a project unintentionally, and I really need to be held accountable. Okay?
Okay. Will do.
Good. It is my dream that you know, in 2, 3 months you could hold a book in your hand. It's not a euphoric, unrealistic dream. It's a doable dream. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Destiny. I would love to hear
I
you.
think I like the self-awareness that you have developed to that someone who was project manager of Love in Berlin. Let's be honest that I enjoy being a project manager, but the first 2 weeks were a hot mess due to not communication, miscommunication, communication not good. And and it all usually went around the fact that you like to control. You demand that we fix this, we do that, and you didn't really trust us, which led to way too many unneeded conflicts and too many emotional intelligence moments on my end of fixing the social conflicts, with good learning appearance, very stressful appearance, but you know. And then for like the Tiff Turtle campaign, and I'm sure that you are very aware, there have been times we've had to wait for a week to go anywhere. And I'm just here with Brunetta being like, we are ready to do this, but we can't do this without this. And I want to be productive. I have this need to be productive, especially when I know I can be productive. So I
100%.
think your mindset will be a very refreshing to hear for like the book team as a whole, that you're self-aware and that you want to make tries to like fix the problem, and B, I think you'll see a boost in productivity now that you are gonna be more hands off and actually letting the other people to sign. And C, I do agree with the moral team dynamic, because while at first, let's be real, it won't seem as productive at first, because people will be getting used to like the three people situation. But I do believe that it will ensure that every voice is heard in your group meetings, because sometimes with big numbers, not everyone can speak.
Yeah.
So every voice will be able to hold, there'll be more collaboration, and it will honestly feel more like what you experience actually writing a book yourself. So when you're writing a book yourself, there is usually 3 or 2 people involved, even if you're not working with the company. An editor, a beta reader, and the person who's actually putting the pen to paper or machine or what have you.
Yeah, that is true. You always have a team. That is true. Thank you for what you're saying, and thank you for acknowledging my self-awareness, or at least growing self-awareness, if not self-awareness, in its whole. Um, yeah, I think that I honestly, hearing you, I think that I have some generic trust issues. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm noticing, and I think that that's holding the company back. So what I'd like to say is that, you know, when I have a relapse, Destiny, or when I'm dealing with some challenges, I'd like you to contact the CPO. There's a reason why there is a CPO, a Chief Publishing Officer. The Chief Publishing Officer is to make decisions instead of John. Okay? So you can contact Nermina and get a yes or a no. And if John has any issues, John will have those issues with Nermina. And she can take that. She has that authority, and she already understands my taste and some of my considerations in decision making. And I think additionally, Destiny, um, you might need to train me a little. You might need to train me by saying, like you wrote in the agendas. I've really enjoyed your agendas. You're very transparent, and I want to encourage even more of that. Hey John, you're micromanaging, or hey John, we disagree. This got approval. Go
Mm-hmm.
away, John. Go away. Because honestly, I do not have a like a burning desire to be an expert on Kickstarter or on Goodreads or on Facebook ads, or even in the actual writing of paragraphs in the actual books. I will say that it's important for you to hear and for me to say it out loud. When it comes to authors, there are authors that are very prose oriented, poetic, that are very obsessive about the structure of the sentence. I'm not that. I am plot oriented. For me, the plot needs to be there. I kind of visualize the book as a movie. I do not want to be fighting you over words. So if you give me a script, I think the wise thing for me to do is to just say, did this get approved did you run it by a few people? Maybe fellow authors, maybe people in the Kickstarter for Authors group on Facebook. Did you get the green light? Amen. Hallelujah. Where do you want me to record? Okay, are you recording? Perfect. Here's the script. To be less hands-on and less anal attentive and so afraid. I think that I'm really holding you back. I've seen your capabilities, Destiny. You can do 10 times, if not 100 times, what I'm allowing you to do. So by constricting you, I'm really doing a disservice for you and for me and for the company. I think that you can run this project plus two, three other projects and run teams with plots and everything.
Yeah.
I think you can. And imagine that when we generate that money, you will be sharing the profits. That's what I envision. And I'm really sorry for being a bottleneck for over a week. And also this week, when I am supposedly giving feedback, I would tell you that I'm not proud of me nitpicking paragraphs and sentences, and it's not where I want to be. Where I wanted to
Yeah.
be. You saw me today when you joined the meeting. I was not as excited to work on that script as I wanted to work on the manuscript of Maria's Promise and to like sort out the plot there. And maybe if you tell me, it's very difficult for a supervisor to tell supposedly their subordinate. But if we drop that for a second, and this is not a CEO and a former intern, now a fellow, if we drop that and we just say, this is Destiny, and this is John, and we're on the same plane, and we're friends. I want you to tell me, John, you're wasting my time and you're wasting your time. Chill.
That is exactly what I was holding myself back from saying to them this here, like, Don, this was interesting, but what are we doing here?
What are we doing? What are we doing fighting over three words or,
Yeah.
three sentences? And I think honestly speaking to all of you, Um, I think this is probably, what is perfectionism? Perfectionism is fear of delivering to the world and being criticized. I think I fear publishing. I fear
Yeah.
launching. I fear. And, I need to deal with that. That's a quality that I appreciate in artists. Artists deliver. They deliver, and I want to deliver on all of these projects. So, Destiny, as much as you can, not only take a green light, but also stand up for your decisions. Back your decisions with saying, hey, John, I disagree. We did this. You've told me to not let you waste your time or mine. And this was the decision that I got to. And I got Nermina's blessings. I'll be like, okay, 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 okay. Okay.
I
Let's
will warn you. You
please.
are releasing a beast. I am a blunt beast.
And this is what I'm looking for in the fellows. I'm looking for beasts. I just got off of a conversation with Francis, who is becoming a beast. I love that. Let's have beasts because we want to deliver. I want to be able to write dozens of books. I cannot do that when I'm fighting over the script of a Kickstarter 1 minute video campaign. Okay?
Yeah, no.
Great. Any other thing you'd like to share, Destiny? Comment?
I
question.
I will say, and this is something I also put in your flat that I don't think you thought to yet, or maybe you did. I don't know, but like I think privilege is like a blind side for you.
Yeah.
Like okay, so we both know that this company isn't doing as good financially as any of us would prefer, because preferably I bet you would like to pay people properly,
Yeah.
which you're not in a position of doing so.
Yeah.
But you yourself are still in a better financial position than 90% of this company,
100%.
especially taking into consideration that most of us are college students or recent graduates. And if you don't know the 10 month college students, we don't have money. What
Yeah.
is that? Not something we know. And like sometimes your advice, like when it comes to the other book book meeting, like your advice, oh, go out and like pin $200. That
100.
ain't feasible for like 90% of people. College
100.
students don't know. So, like, so I think like something you need to keep in mind is that most people are literally living paycheck to paycheck and can only afford maybe like like Disney Plus or like Netflix.
Talk to me in more examples. So I did say with the your book dream meeting,
Yeah,
I did say go ahead and spend $200, buy 10 books. It will be a good investment.
yeah.
Where else am I so blindsided?
Fourthly, let me take a drink of water since I'm about to get ranty. Uh, so I think, like when you're like, oh, go and like get a towel that you can like hold in your hands that costs money and resources that A, we don't know about, and B, money we don't have. And I will also be transparent. Bernadette was also bothered by the whole privilege tone of like, honestly, the whole entire session, Dave, privilege. Dave, I am. Now, I know you weren't doing this consciously, but Dave, writing is for the middle class. I don't know, middle class. Cause we ain't rich, so middle class vibes. When in reality, writing is for everyone. Poor,
100.
rich, middle class, higher middle, everyone. And
100%.
the trope is, and I'm sure you know, poor poets only get known when they're dead. And the only way to prevent the poor poet, poor writer trope is to be accepting of everyone in every financial state.
Yeah.
So, like, instead of go out and buy, go to your local library, go to your local bookstore.
Yeah.
Because bookstores are cheaper than Amazon. The library is free, and the library loves you. Like, if you just saw at the library, librarians are like the nicest people.
Yeah. Yeah. This is great feedback. I want to ask you to keep giving this to me.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for that. You've been teaching me on ableism. You've been
Mm,
teaching me on a lot of things from day one. And now you're teaching me something very valuable. I want to have that Your Book Dream course
mm,
available for everyone. I
mm,
was once a student. I do not come from money, and I think that this is very important. And I should have mentioned the library when I said go to a bookstore. And I also think I should have spoken about the finances of printing one copy. And also,
yeah.
I should have spoken about finding a sponsor, like a family sponsor, an uncle, someone who kind of believes in you, who will be willing to help you with these
Yes.
expenses.
That would make the whole experience a lot better. Can I tell you now? Me and Bonetta was not very happy with that
Yeah.
whole first lesson because it gave a whole not as telling us what
Yeah.
to do and not actually saying how to do what I don't know if you'll say.
Yes. Perfect. And some of the questions that were raised in that your book dream session, please bring to the next meeting, okay?
Uh,
I would really love to serve you there. Thank you so much, Destiny, for this wonderful feedback. And I hope that Nicole and Nikini can learn from you about transparency, honesty, authenticity. You've been such a great teacher for me, and I'm so grateful for you. So grateful for you. Yekini, I would love to hear your feedback about some of the things that I shared.
Um, John, I don't have much to say. I just have some few questions to ask you. I would love to ask, like, how do you want your team to work together so that you can feel more confidence in them and trust them? What kind of support do you want us to build so that your trust can be more stronger, build stronger? And I want to talk about the source of income you mentioned earlier. TikTok, you created a TikTok account. That was a great idea. But I think you are not putting the hashtag like hash book club, hash all those tags, FYP. And you mentioned about starting a podcast, but you were not saying anything about it again. So that's what I have to say. I
Yay,
think that's
thank you. You're 100% right about everything. So, first of all, how do you go on Slack? Just so I know to include you in a group. What handle is your handle on Slack? Sorry, you're still on mute.
at Simi.
Okay. So I think that I think you're correct about everything. So first of all, one of the things that I appreciate about you is how you are willing to take more on. Many interns come and say, "Whoop, that's too much," and you say, "No, bring more, bring more." And I think you're right. I think that if you could keep doing that, you will go really far away. You'll go really far in life, Yekini. What I'd like to do is the following. Right now, there is a marketing team. They're not really. I'm going to do some changes there to make their work better, and they will have to use hashtags. They will have to use some trends. The entire approach that John has is very amateurish. So we want to do something that is of high quality. If you want an experience in management, I'm willing to put you as a manager of the TikTok team. It will be two people that you will oversee, and you will have to report to Marianne from the marketing team. If that is something that interests you, I would love to do that.
I will be happy to do that.
Great.
So happy. Thank
That
you.
that's great. No, thank you. So that's number one. That number one. Number two, when it comes to me and trust, um, I think Timmy, my issue right now, for example, I gave you a project, and I haven't really explained to you what are the steps. I haven't really shared with you a document saying, congratulations, you're working with John on a book. These are the steps. First, make sure that you have a title for the book that is agreed upon. Second, make sure that you have a blurb. Third, make sure that you have a cover. Then make sure that you have an outline. Then make sure that you have the outline beats. Then make sure that you have the writing, run the writing by a group of peers, and then the book is complete. This is kind of roughly speaking how we build a book. I haven't really shared a document with you that says that. And I think that not having a document, not knowing how control documents work in the editorial department, is not great. So I'm going to ask you to also look at a document called the editorial onboarding. the editorial interns orientation doc. This doc is a very important doc that all the editorial team reviews from day one. And because you kind of came from the other door, from another department, you were not introduced to this document. So this document is now shared with you in the chat. And
Thank you, sir.
Nicole, can I have your accountability to help Timmy with like answering questions? Because Timmy is already
Sure.
doing a whole internship in another department in HR, but she is willing to roll up her sleeves and to do great work, and her work has been extraordinary. But sometimes I think maybe she would need to see a little bit more of what the editorial team does. Would you be able to be a buddy
Of
for
course,
Timmy?
I'd be happy to do that.
Super. And Timmy,
Thank
would
you,
you be
Nicole.
willing to work
No
with Nicole?
problem.
Yes, I will do that.
Perfect. So I hope that together you'll be able to get this to the next level. Timmy, one of the most important things for me in the next couple of weeks will be to assign you one person at least to be with you on the Rabbi's Wife project.
All right.
Um, I'm going to finish in within 5 minutes. I want to share with you a little bit about Timmy's project. And with that, we'll conclude. And Timmy, if I haven't answered your questions, make sure to ask them again next week. The same with you, Destiny and Nicole. Any comments? I really want this to be an ongoing conversation. So Timmy is now in charge of writing an incredible story. I have to share this story with you because this is an incredible story. Imagine yourself that you are born in the 1910s and you are a woman in a Jewish community in the north of Germany. Your father really believes in education, and although you are a young girl, he teaches you the Torah and the Talmud, and you become this really incredible student. Then you meet a an older, he's not much older, he's 10 years older, but you're now approaching the end of your teens. You're 19 and you are meeting a 29-year-old guy. He's very different than the other guys. Akiva, this guy is a philosopher. He studied philosophy. He's becoming a PhD in philosophy. So although he is Jewish, he kind of has an interesting international outlook on human thought and the conversations that you guys have. You never had that type of conversations before, and you fall in love. And once he achieves and finishes his PhD, he proposes to you, and you guys get married. And you are an amazing wife, and you become a mother for a firstborn, then a secondborn, and he turns to become the rabbi of the community. So your philosopher husband, Akiva, is now turning to be the rabbi of the community. And the times are not easy. These are the 1920s, and you are in a country that is experiencing great inflation. Bread costs this much, but then the next day it costs triple that much. There is instability, and there are some very extreme voices in the public sphere. One of them writes a book. This book is called Mein Kampf. And you get a hold of this book written by Adolf Hitler, and you read it and you're like, oh my God. If this person ever gets elected, this will be an unsafe place for the Jews. Fast forward a few years, it is 1933. You have 3 kids, and your husband is the rabbi of the community. And thanks to him and in very much to you, the community has grown. And your city of Kiel in the north of Germany has attracted a lot of other Jews from villages and other cities because the rabbi is a philosopher and he has interesting conversations with Catholic leaders and Protestant leaders. He's an amazing guy. But who gets elected or who is nominated? That is no other than the person who wrote the book that was so vitriolic, so full of hatred, and so clear in its plan of annihilation of your people that you are beginning to feel unsafe. And you tell your husband, our homeland is unsafe. We cannot stay here. I care about you and I care about our kids. And your husband tells you, well, that's very nice, but I'm the rabbi of the community. And I made a vow to be here for the community. I cannot leave. What would you do? What would you do? And what would you risk? Would you risk your marriage for the safety of your children? Would you stay or would you leave? Everyone calls you crazy. They think that this leader that was elected, this Adolf guy, is a joke and that eventually he will be replaced and we just need to bear it up. We just need to toughen it up and we just need to go through this storm the way we did for hundreds of years here in Germany. But you cannot fall asleep. You know that the writing is on the wall and you need to leave now. And this is a matter of life or death. And everyone thinks that you're crazy, not only your husband. Other wives, other people in the community, what would you do? This is a true story of Rachel Posner, the wife of Akiva Posner, who, due to her incredible courage and foresight, and ultimatum, was able to convince her husband to move and to leave their community. And she worked behind the scenes, convincing all the wives in the community that staying in Germany is not going to work. And this rabbi's wife, this Rachel, was able to create an unprecedented event in which, by the time that the Nazis came to the city to take the people to the concentration camps, to Auschwitz, most of the city's Jews, most of the Jews were not there because of one woman who was brave enough to be considered crazy and to create a book club with other wives and to let them read Mein Kampf instead of Jane Austen. She was very, very strong-minded woman. And her story, The Rabbi's Wife, is a story that I cannot wait to tell. I cannot wait to tell this story. I think it's a story that will give all of us courage to speak our truth and to stand for what's right. I'm so impressed by this story. Timmy, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, no, John.
What attracts you specifically to the rabbi's wife?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
What attracts you specifically to the rabbi's wife? Why are you interested in telling this story?
I think in Nigeria, yeah, we also have the same story about the girls. Maybe in the olden days, we also have stories about girls um not being interested in taking them to school or anything. We also have that story here. So I think it's a story that inspires me a lot. My grandmother also has a story, same story like her. When I was actually going through the outline, I was like, wow, this is really nice. This is really, really nice. I think it's a great story, a great story. especially when it's talking about the great woman. It's actually great.
Great, great. I cannot wait for you to write it. I'm so excited about your skills and your skills of managing projects, and I cannot wait to read it. I'm so excited. So I'm excited to work with you on that project, Timmy. Thank you for all your good work, everyone. Nicole, Destiny, thank you for everyone who watched this recording all the way to the end. Any last comment before we conclude?
Not much, just thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you, Destiny. Let's have a blessed weekend. We all can use the rest, and I'm looking forward to seeing you Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for those of you watching this recording, today was very much a session because we did not have many people from outside the company, from outside the John Keys team. This was a little bit internal, but I think it's important for you to also have a glimpse as to how I run my team, how I am striving to grow, and what an incredible team I have. I've been really blessed to have the best team in the world. I feel like the growth and my ability to produce books for others and books telling stories that I really believe in is only thanks to the people that I have in the company. So hopefully this was inspiring for you. I would love to see you in our Zoom calls every week at 1 p.m. Pacific. And thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Bye, you guys.